But it goes into this other big thing, and I want to talk about this. So Art Laffer, under Reagan, so President Ronald Reagan, who the conservatives love, was a total douchebag. My opinion and a fact. So,
But also, I mean, it's not surprising that Trump would want him because he would want somebody of Reagan's not actually stopping to think or maybe not understanding what a train wreck Reagan was economically. Because the conservatives all love him in terms of like, Republicans, everybody freaking loves Reagan. So anything he could do that would be making him sound like Reagan,
mm-hmm.
he's probably going to go for. He might not know jack about whether Art Laffer is any good at this job or not, but I think he's just going to go for it for what he will consider the popularity points.
Right. Well, so Art Laffer's deal with Reagan, and I'm going to show you this article. I'm going to sum it up. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's long. But it's this is the article. It's Ronald Reagan and the Great Social Security Heist. It's fedsmith.com. But this is like a well-known thing in finance and economics. So what happened was Art Laffer comes in, pitches this idea, Greenspan sort of backs it, and Reagan goes with it. And this is the thing. We're going to lower taxes on the rich. And then the rich will have so much money, they'll spend more, which was Art Laffer's whole theory. And then it'll trickle down economics. You guys have heard that term. Art Laffer's one of the guys that pushed that under Reagan. And that was his deal. If we lower the taxes on the rich, they'll spend more, and then they'll be more. What do we find? No, they don't. They invest it. Because they only spend money if they think they're going to make it more. Right? You don't go out and just blow money, excess money, and you're a millionaire, multi-millionaire, billionaire. You invest it. And so less money gets pumped into the economy. And it's even worse because even less gets pumped into the economy because now you've lowered taxes so much, there is no fucking revenue for the government. It's all gone way down. So the government can't spend on programs like welfare or a better post office or infrastructure because the government doesn't have enough cash to justify its position. So back when Reagan became president, the government, we didn't really have a national debt. It wasn't really a thing. Reagan created it. So when everybody bitches about the U.S. national debt is $30 trillion now or whatever it is, Reagan's the guy that started that cycle. And what started it was the drop in taxes. The huge drop in taxes. Because under Carter, the previous regime, it had been 70%, up to 90% for the decades before, had been the high marginal tax rate. Reagan dropped it down to like 34, 35. So the rich all of a sudden didn't have to pay tax on any of that money. And their theory was, well, if they don't, then they'll spend more and the government will then make more because people will make more money. It didn't work. And what happened was there was a big...
It's supposed to trickle on down.
Never worked. That Art Laffer's been disproven so many fucking times over the last 40 years. He's a joke. Why is he still on television? And it's always conservative television, but he's a fucking joke. And he's still pushing this theory. In fact, Art Laffer, I'll give you a great example. Kansas, the state of Kansas, actually bought into trickle down just like 5 or 10 years ago. And Art Laffer came in and told them what to do and blah, blah, blah. Kansas basically is bankrupt. That state is trashed. They've dropped so far in the rankings for all the other states as far as economics, education, employment, wages. Kansas is a piece of shit because they listen to Art Laffer. And they keep pushing this guy. Because he'll make the rich richer, but he'll make you a fuck ton poorer. And the rich don't care because they can't be rich unless you're poor. If Lacey and I both have $10 million, neither one of us is rich or poor. And that's all, if we're the only two people on earth. I mean, that's how it works. So.
It's so weird.
Right, but if Lacey's like, well, I've got $1 million and Duncan's only got 10, and she's like, well, I could give some of my money to Duncan or we could work something out, but then Duncan's not poor and I can't manipulate him anymore because he's not desperate. That's why you want it. So she has power over me now because she has more wealth. That's why they push that, and that's what Art Laffer's pushing. So what happened is they did that. They lowered the taxes, tanked the economy, big recession. 83 comes around. Reagan's running for re-election. The economy's in the fucking toilet. And he can't go back and say, well, okay, we fucked up and we were wrong about the tax thing, because then he's not going to get reelected. Because he had to admit that they're mainly responsible for this shit. So what does Reagan do? He goes, we got to find a way, because I told everybody it would generate more revenue. It didn't. Now the economy's in the toilet. We're in a bit of a recession. I'm running into the election and I look like shit. We got to do something to show that, look, no, actually it did work and the economy is doing really well. Right? So how do we do that? Well, we can't raise income tax because then I'd have to admit I was wrong. Right? So this is where Greenspan comes in with his genius idea of, sorry about that. So Greenspan, along comes a spider, Alan Greenspan. And Alan Greenspan goes, okay, well, look, we can't raise income tax. We can raise payroll tax. So they did this thing where it's like, okay, the baby boomers, they knew were going to be a problem for Social Security. Because Social Security, it used to be everybody paid in and then Social Security paid out. And there wasn't like an excess fund in there. The money kind of just came in and out as people worked. But they knew there were going to be more baby boomers than the next generation. So they were like, we got to put more money in there to cover the baby boomers. So we'll just put it in the trust fund, not the general fund, and just save it for when the baby boomers are older. Right? Well, what Greenspan did was said, well, let's raise the payroll tax. So the individuals aren't paying it, the companies are paying it out of their income, but the people don't see it because it's on their W-2s when they get their checks. So they won't really notice as much as raising the income tax. And instead of putting it in the trust fund, we'll put it in the general fund, and then we'll count it as revenue for the government. Even though Social Security is not revenue for the government. It's your and I's money. It is supposed to be in a separate account. So Reagan then said, yeah, let's do that. And they passed a bill to raise the payroll tax. And Reagan said, oh, I'm really in support of Social Security. When he's not, he tried to privatize. He actually tried to get rid of it entirely when he was president. But then he couldn't, because now the only thing that was bailing him out was he got us to pay more into it so he could steal it from that account, put it into the government and count it as revenue so it looked like he actually had accomplished something. Even though he didn't. He just raked you to cover his own ass. Okay? The problem is he did that, and it worked. And he got away with it, and he got reelected. Because nobody knew what happened, and they figured, oh, well, he took care of Social Security, and the government's got more revenue, and, okay, things are looking better now. Because the government can spend more, and he's tried to spend his way out of the problem with the government. Even though he's a Republican, he's against government spending, but he knew he was in deep shit, so they said to spend more and help people out. And then what happened? George H.W. Bush did that, who followed Reagan. And then Clinton did it, all through the 90s. And then Bush Jr. did it, all through the early 2010s, up until 2008, when Obama became president, and Obama stopped that. And because Obama ran on his platform is, we're going to have full government transparency, because we didn't know how much the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan cost. We didn't know what was going on. And we just gone through the 2001 recession, the 2002 recession, and the 2008 Great Recession from George Bush. And they all blamed Obama for this, but when Bush was president, he was sitting there going, well, you know, the government was reporting the national debt was whatever, 4 or 5, whatever, trillion dollars, right? And then Obama became president, and within like couple months of him becoming president, all of a sudden it's like 13 trillion or 14 trillion. And everybody's like, well, see, he drove up, the Republicans tried this shit. See, Obama drove up the national debt by like 10 trillion. He didn't. He couldn't, there's no way he could have spent that in 2 months. Because he doesn't control it. Congress controls the spending. What happened was he's the first president to report it. On paper, to be transparent. And the thing that people talk about, well, the national debt, we got to get that down, and da-da-da-da-da, and blah, 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 blah. Not really, but the bigger issue of the national debt, when they talk about this, and this is why Republicans push to cut Social Security or eliminate Social Security or privatize it, because a huge chunk, like $3 or $4 trillion of the national debt, is money that the government owes Social Security. And if they cut
so if they get rid of it, they don't have to pay it.
They'll lower the debt, and it'll look like they just did something really great, when all they did was steal our money that they're not supposed to have. You should read that article. But that's how Reagan fucked us. And I'm not saying that, like, Democrats are not guilty of it either. They were. Clinton fucking took advantage of it full force. But it was George W. Bush, the second George W. Bush, who really raided that and used that to pay for all the fucking wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. And that's part of the reason we have the debt problem we have today. And Art Laffer is part of the reason why we have the wage gap and shit we have today. Because of that asshole.
Yet another reason not to vote for Trump.
Yeah.
You can't handle more of Art Laffer.
Nope. It's just a train wreck. But anyway, yeah, weird stuff. We'll just do it next time.
The universe has spoken.
Well, anyway, so, yeah. So that was our show, everybody. I hope you had fun. We did. Lacey, where can everybody catch you?
Gone wild.
Republicans gone wild. Well, I mean, it's been growing ever since the 80s. I mean, it's been bad. Anyway, so now you know everything went to shit under Reagan, and Art Laffer was one of the guys that was involved in it. And the sooner he dies, the better. It's not that I wish him dead. I just want him to not be alive anymore. Him and Larry Kudlow.
Well, you don't have to wish him dead. You can just wish him not working.
Yeah. How about unemployed?
Wish him very, very retired.
Go fucking
yes,
golf,
wish
Art.
him very, very.
Anyway,
Art, go do some gardening.
Go do some gardening. So, Lacey, where can everybody catch you?
Alrighty, friends. If you're looking for any of my material, you can catch it at mysensewithsense.com. Find information about articles, workshops, courses, etc. You can email us about any of those, or you could send us some clips, some topic requests, or invite yourself on the show by emailing us. And where do they do that, Duncan?
You can email us at gossipfinancead@outlook.com. It's below in the link. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Please like and subscribe, and we will catch you guys next time. Have a great day.
Yep, apparently the universe said we was done.